Last week, I alluded to an exciting announcement that I was going to share with you today, and here it is. Are you ready? Enter a drum roll. I have some big news. For those of you who are new, though, welcome. I have been doing Little by Little Homeschool podcast since February of 2022, so 4 years now. And here on this podcast, we talk about Christian motherhood and Christian homeschool motherhood. We talk about the homeschool lifestyle and practical tips, but also just everything that goes into pouring into our children's home education. And for those of you that have been here listening to the podcast for a while, welcome back. So here is the big news. I am excited to be joining the Christian Parenting Podcast Network family. And here is why this matters to you. Over the last 4 years, I have been working hard to get Christian homeschool and parenting resources out into the world, and I have been blown away by the response. And I want to also serve even more parents because I truly believe that this work really matters. The time of home educating our children really does matter. Now, in partnership with Christian Parenting, I get to join other parents and podcast hosts in sharing these much-needed resources. That means more ears listening, more hearts encouraged, and more kids being raised in the hope of the gospel. Here is what you can expect in the weeks and months ahead. There will be no change to the amount of times that I podcast and put it out twice a week. It'll still be the same rhythm on Mondays and Thursdays. Topics will still be the same, focused on how to homeschool, how to do it well, how to start out and how to continue doing it for the long term. We'll have episodes that are specific tactical tips and curriculum and how to set up your days, but also just those bigger, broader topics that have to do with your heart and really being focused on how we can serve our family and how homeschooling is a part of our ministry as a wife and as a mother. And I mentioned a few weeks ago a little bit of a sneak peek of some episodes that are coming up. And so the next couple of episodes are going to be part of a series, and we're going to talk specific in those episodes about particular personalities and particular bents that we might find in our children, and how can we home educate them well? How can we disciple them well with possibly some tendencies that they have that might be a little bit more difficult, and it might take a little bit more time, and how then also to draw out just the goodness and the gifts and talents and abilities that God has given to our children. So I would love for you to follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts, that you don't miss an episode. And we all know that sharing is so helpful. So be sure to pass this podcast episode and the entire podcast, or any episode that has really touched your heart and encouraged you. Share those to your other homeschool mom friends, or maybe some of those friends that are just thinking about homeschooling, and this might just be the nudge that they need. And now let's get into today's episode.
Christian Parenting.
Welcome to Little by Little Homeschool Podcast. I am your host, Leigh Nguyen, a mom who never planned on homeschooling, but I really truly believe that it's always been God's intention for my family and for how I would spend my time. And I am so grateful for the years of homeschooling and the connection and the relationships that I was able to build with my children. My two oldest have now graduated, and in a couple of months, I'll be graduating my final homeschooler, which just is so bittersweet. I am thankful for the time that God has given us together, and I want that for you too. I want you, whether the end of your homeschool journey is soon or in many years, I want you to look back and say, God is so good. He brought something so good. Was it always easy? No, I'm not going to promise you that it's always going to be easy, because it's not, and that's unrealistic. But I want you to look back and say, I am thankful, even for the hard days, because those days were very sanctifying, and for the good days that just were so sweet, and I'm just so thankful for those. And that's what I want you to say when you get to the end of your homeschool journey. Now, let's really get into today's episode. Even before you began homeschooling, probably actually before you even had children, you would wake up some days and just feel like, ugh, I don't necessarily want to do this day. I would rather just stay in bed. It's just, I'm not feeling it today. But You had responsibilities. You had things that you had going on. Maybe this happened when you were in school. Maybe it was when you were working full-time or part-time or who knows when. We're all going to have those days. We live in this world, and that is just a realistic part of life. But I want to say that the very first thing, so we're going to talk right now about how to go from waking up feeling like, ugh, I don't want to do this, to looking back at by the end of the day and saying, you know what, we had a really great homeschool day. First, I want to say that these types of days should not be the norm. If you are consistently waking up feeling like, ugh, I have to do today, I don't really want to do today. Now, that shouldn't be normal. I know that the season of life that you're in is very emotionally and physically draining. That's just the reality of it. I remember taking naps most days because I just couldn't quite even get through the day without maybe just a 15-minute power nap. And when my kids were really little, they would all take naps and I would do an entire sleep cycle of an hour and a half nap just to get through the end of the day. So I know that it is emotionally and physically draining, and we don't want to necessarily diminish that's reality. That's just what it is when you are deep in the trenches of raising children. There's a lot of needs and a lot of things that are vying for your attention, a lot that you need to do each day. But we shouldn't have more days of the week. If you were to look at maybe the past 7 days, how many days did you wake up feeling like, ugh, I got to do this day. I don't want to do this day. If it is kind of the norm, or it's most days, or even I would say if it was 3 or 4 of the past days, something is off. And so I would encourage you to prioritize your sleep. Yes, you can even do that. You can come up with some ways. Maybe it's nap time. Maybe it's taking a nap because I didn't sleep well at night. Therefore, a nap was kind of really necessary for my rest. And so prioritize sleep. Come up with some way to be able to make that is something that's really important. And that might mean getting to bed earlier, or it might mean tag teaming with your husband overnight. Also look at your nutrition. Are you fueling your body? Are you making sure that your body can work in your brain? I know for myself personally that if I there have been times that I have tried some really low-fat diets, I get headaches. And if it's too low of a sugar, I get headaches. Now, I'm not saying down all the cookies and that kind of stuff, but I will add a little bit of maple syrup and make myself a latte in the morning and or even put in some honey in yogurt. That's the type of sugar that I'm talking about. But I find for myself that if I start getting a headache, I know I just say my brain feels empty. I've got a headache. And once I consume maybe like a good fat or like a good sugar and not a lot of it, that headache goes away. So play around, see what it is that maybe you're missing as far as your macronutrients or micronutrients, and get that on course, and you might find a big change. Another thing that you might need to look at is margin. Do you have margin in your day? Are you just exhausted because the day before you were going all day? You have your kids involved in so many activities and co-op, and you are running women's ministry. I'm definitely speaking from experience here. And if there is no margin, you're just going to feel when you get up in the morning just exhausted from the day before, because even if you got a good night's sleep, you ate well, it might just be too much in this season. So prioritize your sleep, your nutrition, and adding a little bit of margin. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But I do have some episodes that could help support this and give you some information, and I will list those in the show notes for you. Let's now get into actually how can you go from waking up feeling in the morning like, oh no, I don't want to do this. I'm just tired and my eyes are barely open, to getting to the end of the day and saying, you know what, we had a really good homeschool day. Let's also remember that there aren't going to be perfect days. There's going to be days that feel a little bit perfect. There's going to be days that just feel really great and really good. But it's okay that if most of your days aren't perfect, because we are not raising and home educating robots. Our kids aren't going to respond, yes, mommy dearest, every time you go to tell them to brush their teeth or to go make their bed or go to do that one chore that they just don't want to do, or to do that math work without rolling their eyes or crying or just lamenting about how terrible math is, or maybe it's the writing assignment. They aren't robots. And this is a part of homeschooling, is discipleship and reaching their hearts and exposing their sinful bend and the areas that they are struggling in, and then walking them through that and showing them how to overcome that with the power of Jesus. So the first thing I would say to ask yourself is, if you're waking up and you're feeling, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. I would ask yourself, how is my spiritual life? Are you relying upon Jesus? Are you spending time in the Word? And so when you get up in the morning, you're just like, oh, maybe it's like the kids have woken up at the same time, or they're the ones that have woken you up. Maybe you just kind of give them all a slice of cheese and a banana, and you let them watch a cartoon for 15 minutes so you can spend some time in the Word and reading through maybe just a chapter and just meditating on it and praying and surrendering your day. And I think if you do that, like, don't feel guilty at all about the slice of cheese and the banana that they ate and the 15 minutes of a cartoon that you know is good. It's not something that's trash to their brain or anything like that. Or maybe you just say, here's some cheese and a banana and you guys go play downstairs or whatever it is. Go run around outside or something because the weather is nice. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel bad about that. It's probably going to maybe refresh them a bit. And if maybe the TV and watching a cartoon or something like that afterwards can be whining and nagging about how they want to watch more, then choose the option of just saying, go ahead and go play. We will get started on our chores and we will finish and round out breakfast in a little bit. Mommy just wants to spend some time reading the Bible. Or maybe you don't get that alone time and they're just kind of around you while you're doing that. But the first thing is to ask yourself, how is my spiritual life? Am I waking up feeling defeated at the beginning of the day because overall I am not rooted in God's word and God's truth, and I am not allowing him to, through God's word, through the Bible, expose the areas that I am struggling in? And I know that is for me. I will read through a chapter. I'm like, oh, wow. I've been kind of going through right now just some Psalms, and I'm like, oh, I feel like this might be describing me and exposing some areas that I need to submit to God better. And so I would first of all say that, to do that. And I'm going to share with you in just a minute some more practical tips. But first of all, get grounded in the word. Make sure you're, praying, and that goes along with sleep, nutrition, and adding margin. So you've gotten up today and you're just like, ugh, and you really want to end the day feeling good about the day. Here are a couple specific things that I would say to you if you and I were sitting down with a cup of coffee or something with a little bit of maple syrup in it. This day that you're just kind of feeling like, oh, it might mean that you just have to push through with your plans. Maybe it's a co-op day, or maybe you just have a lot of running around to do, or maybe it's just a day that you're at home and you have lessons and you have things that you planned out for the week. It might just be like, you know what? I just have to put one foot in front of the other. I just have to do what I said I was going to do. Your motivation should not dictate what you do. If you listen to my 2 episodes I have done, one in 2024 and one just recently earlier this month, just talking about changing my lifestyle and about gaining weight and then losing weight. And the number one key was that I didn't wait for myself to feel motivated to work out. I just did it anyway. That's how the changes occurred. And so if we wait to feel excited and motivated, probably all winter, we wouldn't homeschool. I know that for myself, especially when I was homeschooling all 3 kids during the winter. I didn't have much motivation. It would have been easier just to let them, and they probably would have been content to just play all day. But there are things that we want to teach our kids. We want them to be prepared. We want them to know things, but also we want them to know how to think and to analyze and to grow in their wisdom and knowledge of the world that God has created. And so we can't be lazy about it. And so if you wait for motivation, and the days that you're motivated, you probably get to homeschool less days than you would if you just did it. So it might mean that you aren't feeling great about it at all today. You woke up, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Do it anyway. Push through with the plans that you have laid out. Don't let that motivation dictate whether you do homeschool or not. And I can almost guarantee that if you push through, now let's make sure our attitude and everything and our heart posture is good. Because otherwise, you just might have a short temper, and that's not going to go well. And that's going back to, how is your spiritual life? Are you grounded in the word? And maybe that's where you need to start off. And that'll give you a fresh perspective for the day. And so if you look back at the end of the day, and this could be for any day, a day full of chores, a day full of errands, anything that maybe you don't necessarily want to do, but you do it anyway, and you look back and you're like, I'm so glad I did that. That can be me with grocery shopping. Like, I don't want to go grocery shopping, but when it's done, I'm really glad that it's done. And I try to tell myself, I'm so blessed that I'm able to go to the grocery store and get the things that I want and that we need. And that is such a blessing. But sometimes that isn't my first thought. But I'm always so glad when I do it. Same with the working out, same with so many things. When we're done with it, we feel good about it. And I think that if you just push through, by the end of the day, you're going to say, we had a really good homeschool day. Now, there are going to be days that you just might need to do something different. You might say, I'm about to be burned out. I did an entire episode about this, and I will link that in the show notes for you. You might just say, you know what? We've been having just some relational conflict. There's just been a lot of things going on, and everyone just might need a break today. It's okay to declare those days, but that should not be every single day, because then you're not going to accomplish your goals. You're not going to reach that vision. Those of you that are in your homeschool blueprint, you know how to create those and you know how important those are. And it doesn't mean that if you don't reach those goals that you're a failure or anything. It goes back to that other point that I said. You just push through and you just do the things. But then there's those days that you might just say, you know what? I have been pushing through and we have been doing good and we have been getting to the end of the day. And I'm so glad that I just put one foot in front of the other and did the things that I knew that we needed to do. But then there's those days you're like, we just need to do something different. That's okay. There's no shame in that. I do not feel bad about that, because if you are saying that to yourself today or maybe tomorrow or next week, I can guarantee you there are probably thousands, if not millions of homeschool moms out there thinking the same thing on that same exact day and having to say, you know what, let's just take a break. That break might look like setting aside your curriculum for the day and just letting your kids play. Maybe it means you're just kind of sitting there, letting them play around you. Maybe you're reading a book. Maybe it means that you just are feeling overwhelmed with your home and things and just need a day to catch up. Or maybe there's just a day you're just like, there's all these little things. That's kind of been getting to me lately. It's just tons of little things. And I'll be honest, it just started to really get to me and add to my stress level. And about 2 weeks ago, I just had a list of all these little things. It didn't take very long, but I just want to do them because they didn't take very long and there wasn't much satisfaction in those. And I got those done and I felt really good at the end of the day. I actually slept very soundly and had so much less stress. So maybe it's just there's a lot of little things that you're feeling like you just need to do, and you might need to just do that. You can maybe let your kids watch a science documentary. I remember doing that often on Netflix. Was it David Attenborough? Now I know that he probably gets into, even more so now, gets into evolution. But my kids, we talked about that a lot. And so then we would joke like, oh, okay, sure, 250 billion trillion years ago. So we kind of joke about it, but it was still fun for them to watch animals that they will probably never get to see in person, but just, watch these great migrations of things. And as a side note, I want to tell you this story because my kids still laugh about it now. They joke about it. There was one time, so this is the tired, just being exhausted. We were in the living room and they were watching this and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it with you. Well, you know what happened when the TV came on, and probably about 5-10 minutes into it, I fell asleep. And I woke up and the three of them had, put together this funny little scheme. And they said to me, Mom, you missed out on the great documentary. There was even a nude beach in this. And I was like, what? I was like, I am the worst mother in the world because I fell asleep. Here I am right here sleeping and there's a nude beach. And they're like, yeah, none of the animals were wearing any clothing. I was like, you guys, they rolled in laughter. And this was, I don't even know, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And they still laugh about it. So that's the fun part about homeschool, right? Your kids and their silly little jokes. Okay, so maybe it means watching a science documentary or a history documentary or something that maybe you have been thinking, I'd like to add this in, but just haven't had time. Maybe this is the opportunity to do it. Again, maybe you guys just chill out for the day, or maybe you get to catch up on some things around the house. And maybe how about this idea? Sometimes we can wake up and we can just feel like, oh, we've been home a lot. Now this winter, you might be like me, just homebound a bit more because there's been a lot of snow, or there just aren't a lot of different opportunities and things to go out and do. Or you're just like, you know what? It just feels like a good time of the year to just kind of cuddle up at home. And so as spring gets to be here too, you might wake up and just feel, not feeling like the day. One thing that I found, and at first you might recoil when I say this, because you might say, that's so much more work. And maybe it is in this season. And you tuck this idea to the back of your mind and you pull it out at some other time. But maybe what you decide to do is to pack up a lunch or pack up some snacks or lunch and snacks, or you know what? You check and see, okay, I've got some cash in my purse. I don't even have to worry about any type of food or anything. We are just going to head out for the day or maybe for a few hours and go do something fun. Maybe it has to be something that's inside. Maybe there's a local museum that you've been wanting to go to, or a play place, or maybe it just has something that's not even related at all to what you would say like, oh, well, I don't know if that was a very great educational day, but maybe you go to one of those bounce park places, all the big trampolines. Maybe you go by yourself. Maybe you text or call one of your homeschool mom friends and see if she's up for a little bit of an adventure. And maybe you find some type of place that you can go. It's outdoors. It depends again on the weather, inside, outside, whatever it is. It could be just for a few hours, or maybe you just like, you know what, let's go out to lunch, or let's just go over to the mall. If you have any malls that are still alive that have not died where you are, I know we've had some of those. Just walk around, just kind of look at stuff, and we're not going to buy anything. Make sure you tell your kids, we're not buying anything, but just head out for the day or for a few hours. You just might need a break from just being home. I know that a lot of us are homebodies, but sometimes the novelty of home and just being cozy at home and homeschooling can wear off. And I want to encourage you to just get out there. You don't have to look pretty, but get out there and pack up some drinks and some snacks. Or maybe it is a time of the year in the fall, you're like, let's just drive around and see where we go. A hike, the sky's the limit. You can decide on what it's going to be. But the final thing I want to mention when it comes to this topic of waking up, just not feeling like you want to do the day, but knowing that you need to and you want to have a good day. Your attitude is going to be everything. Now, our emotions, they are real, but don't let your emotions dictate your life. Just because you wake up not feeling good about life, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling stressed, whatever those emotions are, those are real. And can some of them be helped with better sleep, with better nutrition, with better margin, with more of a spiritual life, or maybe more of a connection with our husband, or maybe more of a connection with our kids instead of just being the taskmaster of all of the curriculum and everything that they need to do? Those emotions shouldn't dictate whether you, at the end of the day, say we had a good day or not. The emotions of just feeling down, the emotions of feeling anger, or the emotions of feeling frustration. Those are real. Take a moment, think about them, acknowledge that those are there, get into scripture and say, what does God actually say about this emotion? Submit it to him, pray, Lord, I'm feeling very angry. I'm feeling very frustrated. I'm feeling very anxious. Just lay it out, what exactly it is. And Lord, I'm giving it to you. Please help me to turn this day around. Help me to glorify you. Help me to honor you. Help me to honor this season and this ministry that I have to my children right now. And help me at the end of the day to say, that was a good day. And help me to sing your praises for giving me that good day. So your attitude really is everything and really can determine the course of the day. I don't want you to wake up consistently feeling like ugh, but it's going to happen. It's just going to be, that's just the reality of it. And I still feel like that too. Even when I'm just down to my one homeschool, I'm like, oh, I got to get up. We got to do this. Yes, we have to get up. We got to do this. We get to get up. We get to do this. If you are looking for some help as far as creating that vision and those goals and figuring out the curriculum and figuring out what are days going to look like and becoming excited or renewing your excitement for your homeschool, I want to encourage you to go check out your homeschool blueprint. You can get all the information at littlebylittlehomeschool.com/blueprint, as well as the link is in the show notes. Again, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, the exciting announcement about joining the Christian Parenting Podcast Network. There's going to be a link in the show notes. I'd love for you to go check out all that they have to offer, and I'll be sharing more about it as time goes by, but I am just blessed and for this partnership and for the different podcasts and just all the resources that they are going to have available for you. I will see you back here on Little by Little Homeschool Podcast in just a couple more days.